So lads, a bit of concerning news for Unrivaled today because we saw the ratings for their first games and they were fine. They were fine. A lot of people talking about how it was really, really poor and how, they were obviously not good ratings and how the league's going to die. And I was like, you're really overgassing this. They were fine. If Unrivaled continued to average what they did on the first day, Unrivaled would be absolutely fine as a league. However, it was not good on Monday. And I get it. This is one of those times where it's like there were other things going on at the same time as it, but I don't know how much the audience for college football and women's basketball overlap. It wasn't good. It was not good at all. And I think we can talk about Unrivaled without just giving praise to everything. It was also some of the worst basketball I've ever seen, professional basketball I've ever seen on the TV. And I'm specifically talking about Monday night. I thought Saturday was okay, other than the pathetic Phantom team. I thought the Friday was really good. I really enjoyed Friday. But you can see how many people turned off the game on Monday, which isn't good. So these were the official ratings. So the Vinyl versus the Phantom had 187,000 viewers, which, look, isn't great, but it's closer to 200k. I've always said, if they can manage to average 250k, it's good. But, that's 8:55 to 9:44 Eastern time. And then, in fairness, the other one was quite late in Eastern time, but there was nothing clashing with it. The Laces versus the Mist had 120,000 people watching. And I wouldn't have been surprised if there were different stages in the game where the viewership dropped under the 100,000. These are numbers lower than during the pandemic when ESPN was showing NBA players playing 2K. Or when ESPN... These are numbers comparable to when the 2K League was being shown on TV during the pandemic. This isn't good. This is not good at all. And this is only day 3. We're still in week 1. And maybe, no big names. But Breanna Steward played in that last game. Kate Martin played in that last game. Aaliyah Boston was playing the first game. Satu Sabli was playing the first game. Sabrina Ionescu was playing the first game. So, it's not looking great. And the one thing I will always say with Unrivaled is that I actually think when it's looking good, it's looked real good. And I think a lot of people watching it can attest to that. When Unrivaled has looked good, it's actually looked real good. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It has looked when it's looking good, it's looking like a proper basketball league. It's looked good. But when it's looked bad, it has looked so bad. That Laces and Mist game, I've never in my life seen so many missed open layups in sports. I play right now, post every injury and post everything, I play really low level, basically a not very good level rec league. Basically with a load of guys who used to be good at basketball 15 years ago and are in their 40s, just kind of keeping it going. And there's less missed layups in the league I play in than this league. Or than in this specific game, which wasn't good. It was not a good look at all. And by the way, the Laces are pretty good. They try hard. And then you've got the Phantom, which is a calamity of a team playing in the first game. An absolute calamity of a team. So it's not looking ideal. But if you're looking at it, the first day I thought was really good because the Rows aren't terrible. They do play slow, but they're not terrible. We saw, what was it? The Mist score 43 points in that last game. It's not looking good. It wasn't a great look. And we'll see more in the weeks and months coming up. But for me, I'm this doesn't look great for Unrivaled. We've got to be able to talk about the league. And this is not from someone who wants the league to fail. A lot of people are they want it to fail because, they want to show that, Caitlin Clark's bigger in women's basketball. Look, we all know that. We don't need more. We don't need more evidence of what is obvious. We don't. We don't need evidence for the obvious. But at the same time, it's really not looking good. And purely talking about the product, I think Rachel Demita said it as well, where it's nobody is willing to say anything bad, even if it's in a constructive way, about Unrivaled. And and the one thing is, I will say for a fact. I'm not going to say how I know for a fact, but Unrivaled, the people running it, even the people behind the scenes, are doing everything they can to make this as good a league as possible. I will go to that. We've even seen on the website itself how much better the game tracking has been day by day. Day by day, the game tracking has gotten better and better and better and better to the fact that it's actually a proper box score. I think eventually we're going to see hopefully we see player profiles by the end of the year, but something like that. But obviously when it comes to the actual game tracking, it was horrific. And then they're still struggling with the streaming of it. If you're not in the United States, the stream just didn't happen on Monday. They streamed the black screen for a minute while the admin was joking in chat. Obviously I don't think it's the admin's problem. I don't know what went wrong there, but it's a lot. I think there's a lot of people in Unrivaled learning on the job as well. So, and it is weird when you're listening to commentary. The first day was so funny. Lisa Leslie constantly talking about the Boom Boom Room, Sweet Baby Ray. What was it? Boom Boom Room, Barbie, Sweet Baby Ray. If you drank to every single time she said that, you would have died by the third quarter of that game. But I think Rachel being said it where it's the commentators and pundits are so scared to say anything negative. They're scared to even say, the Mist aren't in this game because, well, I don't know what happened there, but the Mist aren't in the game because Dejanay Carrington is an offensive liability because they're leaving her open. And that's the problem it is with women's basketball, is if you can't make a basketball statement without hating. I remember in the playoffs, I can't remember, someone ran someone ran Alyssa Thomas off the 3-point line on the Fever. Closed her out like she was a sniper and she'd burned and got a layup. And I literally was how dumb do you have to be to run Alyssa Thomas off the 3-point line? They're oh, you're hating, you can't leave Alyssa Thomas. I'm no, that is how you guard Alyssa Thomas. You stand under the basket. You put your center on Alyssa Thomas and put her standing under the basket. If she shot puts in from the free throw line, you live with it. You live with her shot putting free throws. That is how you guard on Aaliyah Boston. You do what they did when they beat them with Alyssa Smith, basically stand under the basket. Get in and out of the key. Basically, there's lucky there's no defense in 3 seconds, because if there was, Alyssa Thomas would be just guarded by centers. But you put your center on Alyssa Thomas. And that's basically what they did to Dejanay. Alyssa Thomas was the center guarding Dejanay and just stood under the basket. So what they should have been talking about, the pundits, would be about how much the struggle was for the Mist because one of their guards was a non-shooter, and that became a huge issue for them. But it's the commentators are scared to say that. They're scared to talk basketball if it's in a negative way, because every player is a mix of positive and negative aspects of their game, and sometimes in some games their positive aspects are amplified, and in other games their negative aspects are exposed. And I do think when it comes to the commentators and stuff, that's probably the only problem I have with the actual broadcast, is the commentators are biting their tongue and saying something negative when there are positives and negatives to everything in basketball. You obviously can't just go out there and say someone sucks, but you do have to talk about the fact that teams are not respecting Dejanay Carrington's jump shot, and that's a huge negative for the Mist Basketball Club. You have to talk about the fact that Brittany Griner is not able to keep up, but it's just all hype, and it's I can see that they're trying. I can see they're trying to do good stuff, but there's very little actual basketball talk from the pundits and the whole broadcast. It seems like it's a hype machine rather than actually talking about basketball. And obviously, I'm not saying doing a Charles Barkley and just saying all the players suck and complaining about everything, but it's there's a line between that. That's one extreme, and then what Unrivaled is the other extreme. And I think you have to actually talk about basketball. And the same thing happened in the WNBA season. I think it was not one pundit mentioned how bad Caitlin Clark was off the ball on defense, and how the Indiana Fever had no philosophy on screens. And because of that, all teams had to do was keep running flex cuts, and you'd get an open layup. But no one wanted to break down that. It was just, we're going to hype up all these players. No one obviously no one mentioned Angel Reese struggling at the rim, which is a fact. No one talked about poor decisions made by coaching. No one talked about Nate Tibbetts, some of the mad stuff he did for Phoenix, good and bad. It's just, Candace Parker hit the nail on the head, where it's in women's basketball, because it had been disrespected for so long, people covering it are refusing to say anything bad, which is why you had to go onto YouTube to look something like a My Breakdown or a Commons with Carter breakdown to actually look at a breakdown of a damn basketball game, which is a bit of a problem because if you are actually a fan of basketball and you're watching Unrivaled and you're seeing the halftime show, like you are not actually learning anything about basketball. You're not seeing anything about the game. You're just seeing a hype fest for the 12 players on the floor, which, look, I get it. You want to hype it up, but it's still not basketball analysis. But anyway, I'll see you guys.